7 months ago, I uploaded this specific video to the channel, which I am very proud to say has almost reached 200 views. In that video, I disclosed the realities of dating with a disability and how the media represents us as people has ill-affected us so much. Today, I want to continue that conversation by reading you an essay that I wrote about the absence of female leads with a disability in romantic films. So if you yourself are a person living with a disability, are female, or are simply just interested in film and media, then continue watching. Hey everyone, welcome back. Let's get into this. The absence of disabled female leads in romantic films. Cinema has become a medium in which collective desire, values, and identities are reflected. However, this mirror of society is still blacked out for those who are deemed different. Among the invisible are disabled women, particularly in romantic films. Despite increased efforts towards diversity and inclusion, the world of film continues to reinforce narrow ideals of beauty and love that exclude those who do not conform to able-bodied norms. Specifically in the romance genre, love is represented as a reward for perfection, a narrative in which disabled women rarely occupy leading roles. This absence is not only an oversight, but a reflection of underlying ableism and sexism embodied within not only the structures of narratives, but the aesthetics of film production itself. Disabled women have been marginalized both by gender norms that defy the constructs of femininity, but also by the ever-existing ableist ideologies that equate disability with inadequacy. This paper explores how patriarchal visual language, industry barriers, and representational stereotypes combine to erase disabled women from our screens, particularly in the stories of love. It draws on disabled media studies including Funk and Lambert, Wilde, and Fine and Ash. Throughout history, disabled women have been subjective to reductive tropes that dehumanize and desexualize them. Rather than being depicted as individuals with desire and full agency, they have been dumbed down to woeful figures, comedic relief, or at worst, simply a vessel for the able-bodied characters to find inspiration through, as if that is the only purpose they can serve. Described by Fine and Ash as sexism without the pedestal, society's treatment of these individuals has denied them not only independence and authority granted so easily to their male counterparts, but also the ability to achieve idealized levels of femininity. They go on to say that this dual marginalization has led them to the use of the term roleness to describe these women, meaning the disabled women have no opportunities to be recognized as candidates for being desired. Without the social position of accomplishment or autonomy, the cinema of romance exemplifies this absence. In mainstream storylines, the romantic heroine is molded through her emotional vulnerability to some extent, however mostly through her physical perfection and sexual availability. This is highly identified as a result of patriarchal values. Being disabled naturally disrupts these conventions. As a result, the disabled woman becomes unfavorable, resisting the camera's restrictive, often patriarchal framing of what a woman is, as no more than an object of visual pleasure. Instead, she is positioned in the lens of tragedy, sympathy, and moral virtue. Interestingly though, Funk and Lambert concluded that the casting of these disabled females highly affects the result of how the character is portrayed. When roles are given to non-disabled actresses, the depiction falls into the victim trope. having the disability become a barrier for intimacy, and the casting being used as a justification for the character's lack of success in the relationship itself, or simply studios having the empty argument that this strategy is more marketable. However, when the role is given to a disabled actress, the character is allowed to show the true realities of a romantic relationship, giving the story texture instead of tragedy. The romantic relationships become reciprocal, with having both characters take care of each other. This is clear in films such as Margarita with a Straw and Hen's Night. Moreover, it allows for the disability to simply be present rather than a source of issues in the relationship. It is not to deny the fact that some issues may or may not arise. However, it allows the audience to see it as just like an able-bodied relationship, where complications are a part of an organic and true companionship. This opinion is further supported by Wilde, who claims that this casting structure in having able-bodied people portray disabled people, particularly women, as a glass ceiling for those who are truly disabled, excluding them from creative authority. When disability becomes a metaphor rather than a lived experience, the community suffers further. To follow on from this, the double standard of gender disability must be highlighted as another barrier that disabled actresses face. Over the past 2 decades, the world of cinema and its audiences have openly accepted and embraced the disabled man paired with the able-bodied woman trope. This opinion is supported by A&N 2023. This has been illustrated through movies such as Me Before You, The Theory of Everything, and even the 1992 film The Water Dance. Society has convinced us to applaud such media as it reinforces male agency. In romantic contexts, the disabled man retains an active subject of assertiveness, independence, and proactivity. His autonomy and sexuality is validated by the sympathetic, able-bodied character. In contrast, however, when the roles are reversed, the male lead is required to show sympathy and look past the woman's abilities. Audiences and productions alike deem it as unrealistic or even uncomfortable. Exemplifying cultural scripts, the disabled man is loved due to his retained power in the relationship, as standard heterosexual gender roles are present. Yet the disabled woman threatens both of these aspects. She takes away the man's power, as she is now the priority, and she can no longer validate him in a traditional physical way as seen fit. This results in desirability coexisting for males who identify as disabled and incapable fantasies for females in the same position. And on the rare occasion that this dynamic of interabled couples is expressed, the man still receives the limelight of desire as he is now the rescuer, and the female lead is once again placed in the position of the tragic victim of her disability. This asymmetry doesn't just reflect cinema's imagination, it shapes societal opinions on what is acceptable. Viewers learn to perceive disabled men as worthy and leave disabled women as shells of themselves simply for being objects of care. This consequence of this absence extends far beyond issues of on-screen representation. This imbalance influences how society perceives disabled women in all aspects of love, beauty, and rights of equality itself. By having rare appearance of disabled females as romantic protagonists, our society worldwide unconsciously absorbs the notion that such relationships are unrealistic and furthermore undesirable. Non-disabled audiences internalize this message that romance and disability are somehow incompatible. The world will continue to have the perception that disabled women belong only in roles of pity and dependence rather than companionship. On a psychological level, this lack of equality on our screen directly impacts the self-image of all disabled people alike. When disabled women never see themselves in the position of desire, nor their life experience reflected authentically in the media, they are denied the validation of recognition. Representation is more than just entertainment. It is a movement that supports individuals of all society to see themselves as a part of a shared experience. Without that, disabled women will internalize societal messaging of unworthiness, love, intimacy, and agency, resulting in real-world isolation continued by marginalism and dire self-esteem. Continuing on from this, the societal phenomenon not only impacts the subjects themselves, disabled actresses, it travels into the able-bodied community as well. Able-bodied men and women alike who never see themselves portrayed alongside disabled women as romantic interests are discouraged from considering such relationship dynamics to be fulfilling. This oversight limits emotional literacy and reinforces patriarchal agency in which a man's attraction must align with visual perfection surrounding what a woman can and cannot do for him physically. Similarly, the opportunity for education, empathy, and understanding is lost when the message being spread are dominated by narrow, repetitive ideals of what love should look like. As Wiles 2022 and Fine and Ash 1981 argue, representation functions as a core mechanism for inclusion. It identifies who is seen, who is desired, who is believed to belong. If the exclusion of the disabled woman in romance films continues, the bodily conformity will remain conditional in love. The danger lies not only in rejection, but in its normalization. Further generations will grow up to believe and accept that only certain individuals belong in stories of love and desire. Such cultural conditioning can grow into structural discrimination affecting disabled women. Conversely, authentic representation must become a requirement, as it has the power to reshape social consciousness and allow for a guaranteed space in the industry for people who identify as female and disabled. To transform both cinema and society in a whole, authentic representation holds the power. When disabled women are finally portrayed as capable in love, in desire, and in their own agency, film can expand the definition of beauty and challenge the patriarchal ideals that have long dictated who society deems as worthy of romance. The decision to have these options will allow the audience to view disability as a whole, as a part of human diversity rather than a deviation from it. In normalizing intimacy in all ways between disabled and able-bodied people, film can dismantle prejudice and rebuild intimacy. However, if issues remain unaddressed, future generations will inherit a culture that continues to marginalize disabled individuals of all genders, and forever see physical perfection as the only way to receive love. Until disabled women are given the space they rightfully deserve in cinema, the film industry and society can never claim true inclusion, nor can they portray truth in what love and romance can be. I hope you found insight in that. I hope you enjoyed and took notes, listened, and truly delve in to what I just said. This is such a huge issue that needs to be resolved We are in 2025 as I speak, and I'm praying to whoever is listening, make 2026 better. Use the last 4 years of this decade before we get into the 2030s to make representation for disabled females and disabled people of all and any genders feel like they belong. Make them feel as though they can be desired and loved, because we can. I'm going to link all the resources I used to write this paper down in the description if you guys want to do further research. Once I hand in this final essay, I may or may not also put it into the description if you want to read instead of listen to me talk. I know that that can be helpful for some people to understand information better, but I love you all so much. If you connected with this, if you understand what I am talking about, please let me know. If you work in the film industry or the media industry as a whole and you want to support me in changing this, contact me. My Instagram is down below. DM me. Even comment down below if you want to talk over email. I will gladly give it to you. But let's make this change. I want to be seen, and so many other women do also. I love you all, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.